फरवरी 2021 में अपने बजट भाषण में ये कहा था कि वर्ष 2021-22 में सरकार एयर इंडिया के डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट को पूरा करना चाहती है। इस संदर्भ में डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट प्रोसेस की अंतिम कड़ी में कैबिनेट कमेटी ऑफ इकोनॉमिक अफेयर्स द्वारा अधिकृत एयर इंडिया स्पेसिफिक ऑल्टरनेट मैकेनिज्म, जिसको हम आईएसएम कहते हैं, ने विनिंग बिड पर स्वीकृति प्रदान की है। जैसा आपको विदित है, आईएसएम के सदस्य हैं माननीय गृह मंत्री जी, माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी, माननीय वाणिज्य एवं उद्योग मंत्री जी और माननीय नागरिक उड्डयन मंत्री जी। अब मैं आपको इस विषय पे एक प्रेजेंटेशन के माध्यम से सूचना देना चाहूँगा। So this is when we started the process. Actually, it began in July 2017, as you're aware. In the first round, when we had issued the preliminary information memorandum in March 2018, we did not elicit any interest. Then the second round was started with the issue of new PIM on 27 January 2020. We received 7 expressions of interest by December 14, 2020. 5 bidders were disqualified as they did not meet the requirements of PIM, which included the eligibility criteria. Our net worth criteria was 3,500 crore. In second stage, financial bids received on 15th September 2021 from both qualified bidders in sealed cover. This is after the long process of due diligence, which normally follows, including looking into all the contracts and other things, site visits, looking at inspections in the virtual data room, and also the draft share purchase agreement, which is shared, and then comments and queries are received thereon. Next. Now we have multi-layered decision making for all significant issues here. It's important to see what the process is. There is an interministerial group chaired by Secretary DIPAM and Secretary Civil Aviation, which has got representation from various other ministries. There's a core group of secretaries chaired by Cabinet Secretary. And then finally, there is an Air India specific alternate mechanism chaired by Home Minister, which is comprising Finance Minister, Minister Civil Aviation, and Minister Commerce in Industry. We have a system of appointing professional advisors to support the process, which includes transaction advisor, legal advisor, and asset valuer. The process has been carried out in a transparent manner with due regard to confidentiality of bidders. And this was a competitive process with competition maintained throughout the transaction process, and including the fact that we do not reveal actually the number of bidders in the offering so as to avoid collusive bidding. Important milestones in the transaction process, I would come to that. As you know, EOIs were expected by March 17, 2020. With outbreak of COVID, time extensions were allowed till December 14, 2020. Now, another important thing was, in place of the original bidding construct, which was an equity basis with a predetermined debt level in the company, the construct was revised to enterprise value. And as before, there was also a provision for certain identified current and non-current liabilities will be matched with current and non-current assets, with access to be taken out to AIAHL. AIAHL is another GOI SPV, Air India Asset Holding Company, where we are transferring some of the assets and liabilities. Non-core land and assets are not to be offered to the acquirer. So this will actually be taken over to the new company, to the Government of India, AIAHL. Interest of employees and retired employees have been taken care of. With the EV mode of bidding, which is the enterprise value mode of bidding, bidders got an opportunity to resize the balance sheet under a transparent value discovery process. Now, bidders would now bid on the total consideration for equity and debt as per that construct. We had a minimum cash consideration of 15% of quoted EV, and a maximum retained debt could be 85% of quoted EV. Now, at the RFP stage, the important milestones were RFP and confidential information memorandum and draft SPA were shared with qualified interested bidders in March 2021. Information shared in virtual data room for due diligence of QIBs. Meetings with management of company and site visits for due diligence facilitated. Over 200 queries asked, seeking clarifications and revisions to SPA. Queries responded and agreed form SPA. We call it agreed form SPA, that means share purchase agreement, which includes the terms and conditions of the sale. With bidders on 7th September 2021, and final agreed form SPA initiated by bidders and submitted along with bid on 15th September 2021. So the bid has come with an agreed form SPA, which means that we are not negotiating any terms and conditions after the bid. Once the bid was received, prior to that, the bidders have agreed to all the terms and conditions under which this bid will prevail. This is a standard process. Important milestones in the transaction process is also determination of reserve price. As per approved procedure, valuation exercise was undertaken. Transaction advisor carried out valuation of EV through business valuation methods. Asset valuer carried out valuation of EV through asset valuation methods. Valuation exercise carried out on methodology approved by the interministerial group. And IMG considered the valuation reports and recommended a reserve price for the transaction. The core group of secretaries on disinvestment approved the reserve price. Reserve price was set before opening the sealed financial bids. It's important that in our process we ensure that there is a complete independence between the bidding and the reserve price fixation. Security clearance applications of both bidders verified and ascertained that both were security cleared. Then transaction advisor and legal advisor certified that supporting documents submitted by the bidders were in order and both bidders were technically qualified for participation. The financial bids were opened by interministerial group in presence of bidders on 29 September 2021. Both bidders quoted well over the reserve price. IMG recommended accepting the H1 bid, which was agreed to by the CGT and recommended to ISM. ISM approved the price bid in their meeting on 4th October 2021. Bids received. These are the bid received. So the Tata Sons Private Limited, their SPV, Talis Private Limited, is the winning bidder at 18,000 crore. The second bidder was consortium led by Shri Ajay Singh. This is a consortium, not an individual sole bid. The transaction does not include non-core assets, including land and building, valued at 14,718 crore. These are not being part of the transaction. These are being transferred to Government of India's AIAHL. It includes Nariman Point, Air India headquarters here, some other buildings. There are subsidiaries where Air India has investments. These will be hived off. So Talis Private Limited, which is basically Tata Sons SPV, has emerged as a successful bidder for the sale of equity shareholding of GOI in Air India, in AIXL, which is a subsidiary of Air India as a part of this transaction, and 50% of Air India in AISATS, which is another joint venture of Air India, along with management control.